Oh, Keely.
Yes.
Sharon.
Here.
Jason.
Jason.
Here.
John.
Here.
Laura. Okay, here. How's that? I'll get better.
Okay. Does anybody have any changes they'd like to make to the agenda? Seeing none, the agenda is being approved. And minutes, any changes to the minutes? Seeing none, minutes being approved. Call to audience. Hello, audience, thank you for coming. Do either of you have anything you want to share regarding our agenda items? No? Okay. Director's report, Laura.
You have a written report. I will point out a few things. The quilt that is mentioned for the FOL is on display. Somebody built a beautiful rack to hang it in front of the bookstore. And so if you want to take a look at it, it turned out really, really nice. Our reverse osmosis system was replaced this morning, so staff has that water again available. So, we got 2 quotes, and one was $1,000 less than the other, so that's what one we want.
So, how much was it?
2,900. That sounds about right. The library received a grant from Molina for $2,000 to cover senior programming. I also submitted a grant today for a story walk for the building outside. And that was for $62,000. That is going to be a rural library grant through the Wilson Foundation. So I will find out June 14th if we have that. The M15 garage sales spots have sold out. Taylor did a great job marketing that and getting those all sold. So if you don't have a spot, make sure you come out and shop. It's this Saturday. And our restroom project will start May 7th or the 11th. They're just waiting on one more thing, I believe it's a sink. And we'll be here and we'll be done before summer leaves.
Yay. Okay, does anybody have a question for Laura?
I see our new circulation assistant started. Can you tell us anything about her background? Or what can you tell us?
She had a customer service background. I can't remember what it was.
She worked in publishing.
That's right. She's the editor, book editor. So she did that for a long time. So, yep. She knows all the authors and.
She also has a side business of repairing sewing machines.
Ooh.
Don't be like an issue with your sewing machine.
I will let my wife know.
Yeah. She also buys them and flips them.
Yes.
I know it was in here, Laura, but when do the tickets go on sale for the quilt?
This Saturday.
This
garage
Saturday.
sale.
The garage sale, okay.
Yep. Right. And they'll sell all the way through October.
So my other question is on the Centennial Extravaganza. I don't know why I circled the date and put a question mark next to it. August 7th, is that?
Yeah, it's a Friday night.
Okay.
From 6 to 8.
Somebody put it on my calendar as Saturday, so.
I think we originally started talking, when we first started talking about it, it was gonna be Saturday, so we figured Friday night might be better.
So I must have, maybe I just blocked it out. Okay, that's it, that's all I have.
Nothing? Jan?
Yes, with the problem with the replacing the reverse osmosis system, can we file a claim with our insurance on that and get money back? No?
Yeah, it's a wear and tear item. It's
It
not
was
a.
new though.
No, it's original.
Oh,
No, it's
okay.
25 years
Oh,
old.
what? Okay, never mind.
And we hope this one lasts that long.
Yeah, that'd be great. The 100th meeting, is there a meeting next week?
No. Oh, I was waiting until the 100th update to do that part, but,
Okay.
all of you. Because it's 2 hours and it's hard ice cream, so you may want to do small chunks of time. But, yeah,
Okay.
it'll be fun. Just think of all those kids you're gonna make so happy.
Okay, there's no other questions, on to trustee reports. Okay,
Well, I finally did it. I joined the Centennial. Picked up my mud. But as far as, board training, we talked previously about attending events sponsored by other libraries, et cetera. I was quite surprised. This went really well. The Oxford Public Library on Pontiac Street there, I went to an event that they call Oxford Early Learning Center Art Show. And on that Pontiac Street, there's the elementary school, then there's this early learning center, and I learned a lot about it. And a little past that is the library. There were like 250 people come to this thing. It was absolutely incredible. In fact, they had to sort of control their going in and out. I guess I didn't know that the art projects were on display from the early learning center. These kids were only like 2 to 4, so they're younger kids. I don't know if that encourages more parents and grandparents to attend, because I'm positive some are grandparents. But they had to actually control them come in. But I came early because there were only about 20 people in front of me. And I thought, okay, I'll wait. So I waited and then I went through it. Basically, they have refreshments on outside their pavilion, inside in their community room, which I don't think is quite as good as this. They had the artwork on display. But then that was from 6:30 to 6:30. Then they had 2 half-hour story things, in which you could take the kids into that section of the library. And I just kind of looked in there. I didn't have a child with me or anything. But when I went to exit, at that point there were at least 125 people that were in that line waiting to get in. So anyway, that's just surprised. I don't know if we ever do anything like that. Maybe it's easy for them because these schools, they're sort of right next to each other on Pontiac Street. But in no way had I expected, I told Parky, in no way I had expected that they would pull in that kind of a crowd. So just something to think about. I asked them when they said it was their 3rd annual one or whatever, but anyways, we might
We
think.
have one coming up as the students are displaying their art, I think next month.
Yes, at the beginning of next month.
But yeah, we do.
But how old are they? How old are
It's
these?
middle school and,
Yeah.
I believe it's only the middle.
Which that's
school.
important too, but what I thought about these, because there were so many people with these 2 to 4-year-olds, is that to start to build that relationship, they're younger or whatever, and like I said, then they took them to the play area or whatever, so it, just an idea or whatever, but, I just shocked with the number of people that went to this, so, but that was interesting, so, something to think about for the younger kids.
We have done it with them.
Okay.
did you attend the Emerald meeting this month?
No, I'm sorry, I couldn't, got a migraine.
Oh,
I know, when I get the, it's never, I was supposed to attend, and I couldn't, I'm sorry. But that's it, just, tonight, the event at the Oxford Library and, joining the crowd. That's it for me. What do you think?
Caitlin?
I attended the memorable messaging webinar through United for Libraries. And it was really great. I tend to be kind of a tidbits of facts and data kind of person, which does not translate well into public messaging. But I thought it was really interesting because the person who was putting it on was talking about how, if you go to like buy a pair of shoes, right, that it's not really about what the shoes are made of, it's not really about the material, but it's more about like, oh, I'm gonna look so cool in those shoes, right? So I just thought that was kind of interesting. It doesn't come naturally to me, but I'm looking forward to working on it.
Okay. Jan?
We just returned from Colorado and I visited a few libraries out there. And Taylor, I left you a bunch of information on their library of things. We don't have the room necessarily to do this, but we display the actual tubs. They have little tabs that you take off the wall to, and somebody goes and gets the tub for you. And they have a separate one for their children's library of things, which I thought was pretty cool. Also, this is a building similar to ours, but they do have an upstairs for all their offices and meeting rooms. But their FOL bookstore, they have rented a building kind of on the other side of town because they didn't have enough room for their bookstore. And actually, we went there and it was closed because they had no power that day. Darn it. But it was a whole store by itself. It was huge, probably as big as this room. And the other one was in Boulder, Colorado. This I thought was interesting, and I know this isn't necessarily us, but they had 3 security guards, one at the front door and 2 just kind of roaming because they have quite a few homeless. And they have a cafe, and the homeless are very welcomed in there, but they have security guards kind of monitoring them, which I thought was interesting. Beautiful library also. Their bookstore was, as big as their building was, their bookstore was tiny, about half the size of ours. So you never go, but it was fun. Okay, that's me.
Jason?
So in the last month, I went through a lot of the Trustee Academy, which is a free training that you can get through state of Michigan with 6 different segments, and that offered a lot of good insight and information about serving as a trustee. So I watched the segments entitled Trustee Competencies, working effectively with the library director, very important. The library's budget for trustees and everyday advocacy, why the library matters. I think one of the highlights was how important word of mouth can be and how we often underestimate its effectiveness, and it doesn't always have to be a lavish forum affair that can be pretty informal and passing. I actually ran into someone I know from church in the bookstore earlier this week as an example, and he said, "Hey, I saw you in the newspaper, you're a new trustee." He said, "What does the board even do?" And so I just a quick, bit of what I know about it. And one of the speakers said we should almost all kind of have an elevator speech, like a quick 30-second, here's what we do and here's why it matters, and advocate for your library. So I found that to be helpful. I also did the Culture City training that Laura sent a link out for earlier this month. And I really enjoyed that because I've seen for a while the signs and the bags, and to be quite honest, I didn't know what it was all about. And there was a good statement I wrote down because I was bound to forget it, where the speaker said it's not just about having sensory bags or signage, it's about understanding how to use them with empathy and confidence. And his big thing is that awareness of these materials can translate to action, and action can create a sense of belonging. And at the end of it, I even put the Culture City app on my phone so I could see that we're the only place within about a 20-mile radius that is Culture City trained and approved. I think the closest place is Pine Mountain from here, concerts. So I would recommend it if anyone hasn't looked at that yet, and it's about 30 minutes is all. And then I also attended the Mountain Echoes Dulcimer Troupe concert, which was great. I brought my son. It was in the Cub Scout pack that Fran mentioned in Verita, and we didn't know that a lot of other scouts were coming who were doing it to fulfill a badge that they needed called Fine Arts, and because she's a little older than my son. And I thought that was great because a whole bunch of them came here with their pack leader, and it's a good way of having events that have some overlap with other societies and groups in the area, where you can get a big gathering like that. And the people that play in that dulcimer troupe are amazing. They gave a good history about each song too, each one relating to a time about 100 years ago, corresponding with our libraries of the
Okay, that was a lot. So you didn't go running, you just took all that training, huh?
No. I went to bed.
Hey, John?
Well, last month I've been focused on preparing the board training that we just completed, and getting ready for the M15 garage sale for the FOL. So that's kept me very busy.
Okay. Laura, can you give us an update on FOL? Did you go to the last meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not prepared. I don't have my notes with me, but we talked about the quilt and they have the tickets ready. They're going to be asking all the members of the FOL to sell. They're not sure how many, as many as they probably want, but hopefully everybody will sell at least 10 tickets. The tickets are $5 a piece, and then the drawing will be at the meeting in November. The financials, they didn't spend any money last month, so they're the same as I'm sure you remember what they were last month. But it was a short meeting this month. So.
Okay.
We're also going to sell tickets at some of the events here at the library.
The program.
So
Programs at the library.
the sale of the tickets, that money goes to FOL.
It's going to go to FOL. They did ask us to kind of pick a project to save for, and we are interested in getting some little reading nooks for the youth department. We're going to take out, if it all goes as planned, take out some of the tables where the computers are, because those are empty right now, and they have these cute little reading nooks that fit right in there. So that's depending on the ticket sale.
Margaret said that someone had asked at the front desk today if they could buy all the tickets.
What? Oh,
I don't know if they were serious or not, but
they want that quilt.
What are the total number of tickets?
I don't know, like 500 or
Yeah,
something.
and they can make more.
Yes.
Okay.
I say bookmobile, if somebody's doing that.
$500.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said for that, I told Margaret, I said for that, you can make an under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless she liked that. So.
Okay. And to financial officers report. John.
Okay, check register, a couple of things of note. We paid the deposit on the bathroom, that remodels, that we're gonna get started soon. The boiler feed station, we had talked about that needing to be replaced as a first step in some of our heating issues. And good news is we had to buy more 100th anniversary mugs. So that means we're selling memberships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions, comments on the check register? Okay. Balance sheet, there's really very little that's changed. The taxes receivable hasn't changed since last month. Net income went down, but that was tied to our net income, so really no significant changes in the balance sheet. And on the income statement, looks like we're in pretty good shape as far as our budget. Some of the ones that may appear out of whack are all because of seasonal or annual type payments. Any questions on the income statement? Okay, can we get a motion to approve our expenses?
I move to approve our total expenses of $83,819.72 for March.
I second it.
All those in favor?
No, we need a roll call.
Individually.
For money.
Okay. You.
Yes.
Yours. Sure.
You have to ask me last, sorry.
Oh. Jason?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Do I have to say
No.
no? You? Me? Yes. Cheryl?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And the motion passes. We are now on to committee reports, policies.
Okay, the material selection collection development policy, if you remember, we brought this 2 months ago, initially, with an addition of AI, an AI section. And so we made a few changes, we sent it to the attorney, and due to the climate of libraries these days, material selection, collection development is a hot topic. So she had a lot of
So I see a lot of red.
a lot of additions to it. So the policy committee met again and went over her changes and tried to make sense of a lot of it. There was a lot of duplication. There were a lot of things in weird areas. So we went through it again and kind of cleaned it up as best we could. And then Kathleen actually went through and moved a few things around to make it flow a little bit better as well. So this is it. This is what we have. So I know it's a lot of changes, and Cheryl had some concerns that maybe we need to look this over again and bring it back next month, but I'm interested to hear
Well, first I'd like to hear from the board and see what they think and if they had any major changes they thought should be made. Start with you, John.
Okay, on page 12, the very last item, G. So when we say patrons or library users, are those the same thing?
Not necessarily. Well, it can be. Patrons generally means people that have a card. Library, they have a library card. There are a lot of library users that don't have cards. They come in and look at materials, or they, in this case, you know, they may even come from out of town just to cause problems sometimes with this kind of topic. But they're interchangeable for the most part, but I think in this particular statement, she's talking about people with cards and then people without cards.
Okay. Should township residents be included in that section?
And how would you say it, John? Where would you put it?
So if you put patrons, library users, or township residents?
Is that like in, like if there would be something at like the township level where they were trying to control what was going on at the library kind of thing?
Or just anyone who doesn't actually have a card or use the library, or
But
wants
still wants to
come
have an
in
opinion?
and
Okay. Okay.
Well, if that's the case, it wouldn't necessarily be just Brandon Township residents that might want to come in.
Sure.
If they enter the library, are they considered a library user though? Okay.
But they don't necessarily have to enter the library to have a complaint with library, so. It could be a broader term to cover everything.
Or the public. 'Cause like you say, it might not just be our township residents.
General public.
that's kind of,
Pardon me?
that's kind of who we are serving, we're supposed to be serving.
Right, but
Not everybody. I don't know.
But we're not gonna turn people away at the door if they're not from Brandon Township. So we do service everybody.
No, but this is talking about material selection.
Yeah. I know legally, we had our, I can't think of the name, the forum where people have a complaint about a book. it used to say that they had to be a Brandon Township resident to fill out that form, and the attorney nixed that. That is
Okay.
not the case. Anybody, because it is a public library, I think anybody can make that complaint. Whether the board, what the board does with it might be a different story depending on if they're a Brandon Township resident, but anybody can make that complaint legally. So, we could change it to the public, just the public.
Take out
Are we gonna, is this
patrons.
gonna go back to the attorney at some point?
Please no.
I hope not, but I mean,
Well,
it
some of
depends
these
on.
things we may want to go back.
Yeah, and I can send her back a question instead of the whole policy. If there are certain sections like that, certain sections that we want to ask, I would not send her back the whole policy.
Okay.
Unless I absolutely.
That's
Why don't you just add or the public?
Yeah,
Would you have to get that approved
no.
by her? Okay.
Can I make a suggestion?
Mhm.
What bothered me a lot about this is following sentence structure, because it doesn't in many sections. Like on this section that you're looking at, first of all, D, E, and F, you need to take the word to out, because A, B, and C do not have to. And then for G, how I would word it, I would say make selections based on, and then cross out everything until you get to the word solely.
Say that again.
It would say make selections based solely on the merits of a work without regard to race, nationality, political, all through that. And then you could add at the end, or approval or disapproval of the public. Because I think the important thing to say there is the first thing is solely on the merits of a work. That's the important part of that sentence.
So, what if we did that, but didn't even add back the patron libraries or public?
We wouldn't have to. I didn't think it needed to be, but I thought we could add it at the end if everybody else thinks we need it. I don't
I'd
think
be
we
good
need
with
it.
not having it, and then it does, then we don't have to figure out who we put in there.
That would work.
Comments by anybody?
So how would it read again?
Make selections based, you're basically striking out everything from selection to the word but in the second sentence. So, and then you're adding make selections based, and then you're dropping down to solely, and then to the end of the sentence.
I think it's important to include or approval or disapproval of the public. I think that needs to be stated.
I'm fine with that. John?
So the other part of that I have a question about is all of those things we're talking about is without regard to race, nationality, et cetera, are related to the writer, right? Should that also be referring to the content of the book or the characters of the book?
I can't remember if it's someplace else in there.
Was it in the
I think this particular sentence was made to talk about the writer. That we're not gonna say, okay, we're not having any writers of a certain nationality or a certain political bend or whatever. I don't
Not
think,
having or not limiting.
We're not judging it based on the work.
I know in the principles of material selection, it does say that the materials collectively, individually or collectively, are representative of diverse populations and viewpoints. I don't know if that would cover what you're talking about.
Where is that?
It's further on in the specific principles of material selection.
On page 13.
Yeah, page 13.
Would it make more sense to remove that clause of approval or disapproval by the public and make it its own item along with general principles rather than tied into the rest of the statement?
yeah, because
That would apply to
mainly we're
everything,
talking
right?
about the writer in this sentence. And then they added disapproval, disapproval, and I don't know if that's talking about the content or the writer, because that's not clear.
Could we say of the writer or the content of the piece? Of the selection?
Well, a lot of this other stuff is talking about content.
Mhm.
Yeah, the top 14H. Approval or disapproval.
Because my suggestion was when we see where there's item M, that we would move that up right after this one, after G. Because G talks about the writer, and then we could write something about the actual content right after that. I don't like particularly how it's worded, but something about content after that. See what I was saying, Laura? This is such an important policy, and it's just,
It's messy.
It's
It's
messy.
huge and messy.
Trying to incorporate everything, it just makes it kind of messy.
well, let's just go through and see what our concerns are. And then maybe with those concerns, the policy committee can relook at it.
Again.
How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay, John, other,
Well, you identified like the whole format and where certain things are, so I won't go into that. There was the only one I had was on H, where it started with further, which I think should just be removed if you're doing a list.
right,
The other one, farther down under specific principles of material selection, A and B, accuracy and factual and free of bias. How, does that put an onus on us to say that what's in this book is accurate? Because I don't think that should be the library job.
Well, it says the total collection will attempt to represent. So we, as librarians, it is very important that we are checking that that is accurate information that we're putting out there. So we do attempt at our best ability to make sure that stuff is factual.
I think that opens us up for a lot of issues.
That's why it says attempt. It doesn't say we will, but.
Well, it says it'll attempt to represent opposing viewpoints.
Next, it says the following principles will prevail.
But I don't know how we can, with all those books, how can we make a claim that they're accurate?
Especially if they're fiction.
Well,
And factual, I mean, there's so much debate these days about what's true and what's not true, so
Yeah.
whose opinion says that this is the right one, that these are the facts?
Just asking.
If somebody, another author writes a book that has totally opposite,
Sure.
so which one are we gonna say is accurate? If we're gonna show both viewpoints, they can't both be accurate.
True. I think just by saying that we represent both viewpoints, that we don't have to put accuracy in there, I don't know why. I mean, and accuracy and factual kind of
Yeah.
means the same thing, too.
Yeah.
That would be a question for the attorney.
And then.
Well, and the other thing, sorry, just to go back to that same one. Free of bias. I don't think we can say that because viewpoints have bias. You know, bias can simply mean preference or inclination.
I think in this case, it means that our collection is not leaning one way or the other. Our collection as a whole is not biased.
I think that
I
you
think
covered that
that's-
in the first sentence.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, opposing points of view.
Because then we get to D that says represents diverse populations and viewpoints. Because certainly authors have bias.
Yeah, but we want to make sure the collection is not biased.
Right. But this says selection of, I don't know.
Well, I don't think any of these are wrong. It sounds to me like you're saying they're redundant, they keep repeating themselves. It's not wrong to have books in there, so maybe you should just leave them. They might be repeating, but
And the next one too, the authority of the author, who determines that? You know, that goes back to accuracy and fact. You know, it might be a doctor and somebody comes in and says, oh, that doctor's a quack.
But the basis of something being factual is that it can be proven or disproven. That's kind of like,
Well, go to the whole COVID controversy. You know, people will say it's proven this way or it's proven that way. And you'll have doctors on both sides. I think B, C, and E, I don't like any one of those.
I agree with that. So we can add that to the list.
I think that would be a question for the attorney. Did they just put that in for a reason, for no reason, or is there a true reason?
I think these are pretty standard, it's a pretty standard list for collection development for libraries. I mean, I haven't looked at the ALA list lately, but I would imagine most of these are on there. So this is what we're taught in library school.
Yeah,
Authoritative author and accuracy and bias.
I looked at a lot of other like library policies, and these are pretty standard.
I don't think it's gonna hurt anything with this policy that we go down.
I mean, we can certainly possibly look at it again and try to, you know, there is some redundancy, but I think they seem like the same words, but in the collection development world, they're very different. Authority of author is actually really important.
What does that mean? in
That
the
means that
library world?
they're vetted somehow, that it doesn't mean what they're giving us is right or wrong, but it means that they have some sort of authority in that field.
Like what?
Like, I don't know, like lupus. If we got a book on lupus that was written by a kindergarten teacher that never had lupus or doesn't know anybody with lupus, I would question that. And I would think that that would probably not be a good line.
Well, what
So
about?
what if it was a kindergarten teacher that had lupus?
That would be different.
Okay.
If it was a memoir of some sort, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily think it should include a whole lot of medical advice, but.
What about fantasy books?
That's different.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this covers all our selection, right?
Mhm.
Selection, specific principles of all the selection.
Well, it says individually or
Right, okay.
not
I
necessarily
think,
each individual.
yeah, I think in this case, they need to stay. Just my opinion.
Most of our books have editors, right? Or are self-published?
We very rarely order
So
self-published
it's
materials
editors.
unless they are
Because
a
they do that
local
work
author.
too. I mean,
and
editors.
only if it's fiction.
I think we're opening ourselves up to saying that everything in that library is accurate. So if I pull out a medical book and act on it and it's wrong, could I hold the library liable? Because you said your collection was accurate.
But it says that the purchase of materials does not constitute an endorsement of their contents. So I was not encouraging you or endorsing you in any way to act upon the information that you consume.
Well, and it's just like what Cheryl just said, there could be two medical books and one explains COVID his way and another explains a different way. Are they both accurate? But we have them in the library. I don't need to really sue over that.
I'm
Okay,
just
Doc.
I
saying
guess
that
if these are typical terms that are used in collection, maybe we need a definition of what, maybe I'm thinking of accuracy a lot differently than is intended.
I can ask the attorney.
On page 14, again, I guess it goes back to the formatting question. I would have thought K could have just stayed as a listing of popular demand rather than all the new language. Just because of the formatting, everything else is just a list, and this is more of a statement. But, and then I could really tell that the attorney got involved when I got down to specialty guidelines, item 3, and the Latin phrase was thrown in.
That gets
Yeah.
used a lot.
working across.
No. If it's not necessary, I would strike that and just put the in place of parent. But if it's a legal thing, that's fine.
Because schools do have that. School libraries do have that responsibility. So I think it's making sure that people know there's a difference between a public library and a school library.
Okay. Anything else?
But
Jason?
I didn't have anything major, some of what we covered, what John said. I have an easy one here under that Latin phrase. We seem to have dropped a word in the last revision. It should be in local parentheses. And that's all for me.
Okay. Jan?
Back on page 12 under definitions, at the very top of that definition, other synonyms. What other, Okay, books, magazines, DVDs, CDs, programs, library things, what other synonyms are you
It
thinking
could
of?
be box books that we have now. Now there's some other books like that. I can't think of the names, Togo or what. There's a bunch of, there's new things coming all the time. So I think that's why that's there. to kind of
Okay,
cover everything.
I don't like other synonyms. Can you put them in a category?
You could say other material.
Well, okay,
Well.
that would sound a little better. You can't list them all.
Resources, materials.
Other resources, that sounds much better. I could go with that.
Other descriptors?
And,
Because it's really referring to how, where they might appear in the policy. So if we called it something different in a different policy, that's what this is covering.
Mhm.
Rather than having to go back through all of our policies to see if we called something else.
well, let's
It's
just
trying
say,
to-
let's say other resources then. I could do that. I could live with that. And on page 13H, at the end of that, okay, the last sentence, the use of rare and scholarly items of great value may be controlled to the extent required to preserve them from harm, but no further. What does that mean, no further? Because you start with further.
That's the only reason, I think it's saying that that's the only reason that we would keep something like behind the desk. But if somebody asked for them, then we wouldn't control it. I mean, they could take,
They can check them out.
not necessarily.
No, okay.
Not necessarily, but.
If they can use them as long as they were not being harmed. There won't be any reason to.
Do we have to have but no further at the end of that?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. It just is odd.
Yeah.
From other harm, preserve them from harm, period. Okay. And that is really all I had. I was confused, why the blue? Was that like the third time through?
I couldn't even tell you at this
Oh,
point.
jeez. Okay, I want to ask that.
Keely?
I didn't have anything.
Okay. Okay, I had multiples. Do you want to go over them all, or shall I just pass them on to policy committee? What's the board's?
Pass them on.
Are there
You
any-
want to hear them?
Are there any that you think we should have a short discussion on as a board?
Some things were, a lot of it was just changing the formatting, moving some things around. I had an issue with that, actually, an issue did. On page 14, I think there's redundancy between item A, 2, and 3. I think we need to tighten that up and just make it one item. Because in both of them, we're saying, parents, you're it, we're not being a parent. I think it can be written as one item. And I don't know about the title minors in the library. Because parents or legal guardian, it could be speaking of, I don't know, someone older that they have a legal guardianship over.
Does that come from the attorney, minors?
Mm-hmm.
See, some of us we don't really
Alright.
do much with them.
But yeah, I think 2 and 3, they're writing the same thing.
Well, 2 is more about selection, like the selection of the collection. And 3 is more about what your child chooses to look at and check out. I think
It's
there-
kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Not necessarily, because the selection is of what the library chooses to purchase. We're not gonna not purchase something because we think a kid might pick it up. I think it's different. The selection isn't gonna be catered to.
But but we're saying that the responsibility lies with the parents.
Right,
So I don't know where that selection thing probably shouldn't even be in here, I don't know.
No, I see that it's two separate things. One is the library's choice as to what to buy for the library, and the other is the children.
Exactly.
Right, so they should be two separate things.
I don't think so. Then we have to take out the first sentence of number 2, because that says the same thing as number 3.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's doable.
We've already defined the selections. It's capitalized. That's what we should. Oh, yes, it is in the definitions.
And then the only other change that I would have would be on page 15 at the very bottom, talking about responsibility. The last sentence, I would add, and this policy. Because it says in accordance with state law and principles and practices of collection development, but it doesn't talk about under this policy. It says that you act under the framework, but then when it goes to what you're gonna do about collection, it doesn't say this policy, and I think it should.
But we've never done that with any other policies.
Yes, but it's saying what what types of things would be used in her decision, so it has to include in this policy. Otherwise, all she has to do is follow state law and principles and practices.
That makes sense to me.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything to add?
If you think of something later. It's a lot.
Can we have a motion to table this policy and return it to the policy committee?
I move that we table the material selection, collection, development policy and return it to the policy committee for further review.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I will make the changes and send it back out to the policy committee for go through them.
Okay, on to finance committee.
Ah, that's me again. So we already talked about the reverse osmosis system, and that's already been installed. We talked a little bit about they're gonna do some additional tree removal and trimming, out along
Done.
the, it's done?
Yep,
Oh, wow.
we did it Monday.
Oh,
Okay.
Who did you name?
Tree meisters.
And then as far as the audit update, we reviewed the draft. We're sending questions to the CPA. The CPA presentation and vote would take place at the May board meeting.
Anything else? Any questions for John? Okay. continue, we're gonna start training again at 4:30, Jen, for the finance?
Yes.
Okay. So May, again at 4:30.
Yep.
And bring your audits with you.
Will you still use February?
Yes. We'll keep it consistent. I think it'll be more on the audit side, but we should bring them
Okay.
in. And especially if there's any questions out of this session, then we'll talk about the same numbers.
Okay, on to the 100th anniversary committee. Laura?
So I did do a part of my director's report, does include my 100th update, so I didn't miss anything. But I do have some of the special event stuff that we purchased, our swag that's passed out. So these will be passed out at the Farmers Market Kids Day, our Centennial Extravaganza. We also have tattoos, temporary tattoos that are our logo in full color for the kids for those events as well. So these are more for the adults. I'll pass these around. Little keychains, and then the stack of cards is something that will be a gift for the people that attend the speakeasy.
Oh, cool.
Our banner from Paramount Graphic with our 100th celebration and summer reading. There will be two. It will be kind of like this out on M15. One will be for the 100th. One will be for summer reading. Those will go out the week before summer reading starts. Please mark your calendars, August 7th, to scoop ice cream, 6 to 8. If you're available, please let me know. It's going to be a very busy day. We are expecting about 200 people. So we do have free ice cream from
You said that's Friday.
Friday, yep. And I know
what
some
time
of
is
you,
it?
from 6 to 8. And I know some of you will be coming with children, so if you can just do a half hour, an hour, that would be great. We're up to 28 members for Centennial Club, so that's great. That's $2,800 for all of our events.
Any questions for Laura? Communications.
We received this from Josh Schreiber's office as a public recognition of National Library Week. Where we're going to put it yet. We got that the week before National Library Week, which was last week.
Must be election year, huh?
Thank you. Nice. We've had National Library Week since the dawn of time, and we've never gotten one. That I know of, anyway, the week before I was here.
Okay. No unfinished business, new business, strategic plan update. Laura?
We have a little 18-page document. Stuff. This, I think, will probably be the last of this particular format that you're going to get. We're kind of coming down to the nitty-gritty of things. So I marked these in red in the output column, just to give, so it's quicker to look through, because I know it's a lot. So it kind of tells you in the gist of where we are on these. So some of them are complete. The ones that just say complete are generally ones that we're probably not going to continue. We tried it, it didn't work out. Yeah, we're moving on. So, and then I had successful, will continue. So those are the objectives that we tried and they worked out well, and then we're going to obviously continue. So, for the most part, we have our Scholastic Book Fair on page 20. That's coming up June 1st and the 6th. So we're going to try that and see. So that one's still in progress. On page 22, in the Southern Brandon Township Services Assessment Committee, That one may be a long-term. We're hoping for the book ban. So that may not get completed this go around, but it is not going to fall off the radar.
Which one are you talking about?
The Southern Great Township Services Assessment on page
got it.
22.
Yep.
Page 23, the utterly creative craft at Cook's Farm Dairy, that one is in progress. And it's in the fun. And over here, there may be cows. So,
There may be cows?
There may be cows.
I would hope so.
Page 24, the temporary signs, I just talked about that. That is in progress and should be completed in June. We've done a lot.
I see a lot of completed successfully.
Yeah. On page 28, there's two items there. The bench at the building entrance, we're still kind of watching that. We put it out there, and I don't know if it was just because it was new, there was a couple of people sitting on it, and I hadn't seen anybody sit on it since. So we're still kind of observing that one. The heat management, the vents and the ceilings, that's going to be an ongoing process. We're kind of doing it in rooms as needed. It is working, but we're putting additional venting, Katherine's doing it, venting tiles in some of the rooms that get a little hot. And we've been tinting some windows in those rooms that gets a little hot. So I think that'll be just kind of an ongoing thing. Hopefully it'll help with our heating and cooling bills as well. Page 29, updating the circulation desk. We've had library design has come out. In fact, the electrician came out today to take a look at the wiring and stuff back there. They are recommending a refurbish instead of a replacement, just to save a lot of cost. And he had some really good ideas, so they are putting together a proposal for us. We don't have it yet. The install bookshelf and cap signage.
Can we go back? Is
Yeah.
that something you think is going to be completed as part of this strategic plan?
I don't think so.
So that one will be
I think
fine.
that one's gonna carry over.
Okay.
Because I think that's gonna be a pretty expensive project.
Okay.
And I don't know if we have the budget for this year. The bookshelf and end cap signage is in progress. Working on the logistics on that one. The engaging or enhanced staff communication and engagement. A lot of that was this strategic plan in and of itself, of getting the staff together and working on things, and so that is still, that's continuing as long as this strategic plan is in place. Page 32, the closing policy, that's still in progress. I need to talk to the attorney about that. I was waiting until we did our patron behavior policy review, and because of all the, we've had a lot of policies that have just been taking a long time to get through, so it's kind of got pushed off a little bit, but I'm still on the radar. Page 33, library posts for additional holidays. I'm still working on that one. I tallied each holiday that we are open for, how many phone calls or questions we got asked, are you closed, are you open today, all that kind of stuff. And there were some front runners. I will bring more, there's more of that, so I will bring that to the board when it's time to look at a calendar for next year.
Can we get door counts for those things?
Yes.
Okay.
Provide on-school site programming at the high school and middle school. That's not tough. Teachers are really hard to get hold of. They're very busy and they are already doing so much. So, we are still working on that. Do you want me to move on to the feedback, or do you want me to stop there now?
Can I ask you something real quick? I don't need to back up, but on closing policies, since I'm not here when it closes, do you do anything, the lights click, do they ring a bell, or?
Yeah, we have an intercom system, and we give a 15-minute warning, a 5-minute warning, and then we say the library is now closed.
Okay.
So, and it generally works. Usually people are in the building, we might have a straggler here and there, but for the most part, people are out of the building.
Okay.
spelling. I found some spelling groups.
No, I'll take it.
You'll take it? Okay, the very last page, because we're there at the very end, they have contacted the principals. Principals. Wrong principals. Okay, now let me go back as fast as I can. There were 2 others
Okay.
that I found anyway. On page 24, install a temporary sign announcing summer reading on M15. You want it visible from both directions, not directors, correct? It says directors.
Oh, yeah.
And, shoot. Oh, goodness. I'll let you know the last one, because I'm
Okay.
not finding it this second. I don't want to take up much time here.
So back to a question on this last item that you were talking about, is the on-site programming at the high school, middle school. It says here that they plan to launch, is that already, is that approved by the high schools at all, or the middle school?
Not yet. So that should, but I have reached out to both the principals of the middle school and the high school. I need a response from them.
Okay.
I'm trying to get them before the year ends, so that we can get it going in the fall. Like as they're doing registration and then hopefully continue throughout the year.
So it'd be kind of like a club thing after school?
It would be like an after-school program, just with librarians instead of.
Okay. Okay.
Can't get them to come here, you gotta go to them.
Yeah, we find that if you meet them where they're at, you're more likely to engage with that demographic.
Okay, any other questions on the strategic plan?
Just amazed at how much we've come.
Oh,
They've accomplished.
I'm very excited for
You've
them.
accomplished.
I'm like, oh, childhood is returning to me.
Okay, next we have the survey results. Did you have any comments on this one?
Just a couple of things. This was a survey I sent out to the staff and the board to get some feedback on how they thought it went, just before we start planning the next one. And it was interesting because a lot of the, comments, were kind of exactly what I was thinking about for the next one. So a couple of things that I loved to hear, were some items on page 37, the positive impact on employee morale, new voices were heard, they felt empowered, they felt inclusive as an inclusive team. So that's what I was really hoping for with this strategic plan. So I was really happy to see those comments. But a lot of the negative comments was the same as I was thinking. It's too complex. By the end, most of us were fatigued by the process. It was a lot. And I think the comments about limiting the groups to 1 or 2 ideas, some groups had like 6 ideas that we had to, follow through with and figure out. And then by the time they got down to the 4th group, they were like, one of the things kind of were even kicked in that we were kind of thinking. So limiting those, I think is going to be a really good idea. I love this comment, what were the barriers or challenges to continue to improve in the library's performing at such a high level? That made me really happy. So, but a lot of the comments were kind of the same thing that I was thinking. Eliminating the programming group, I think is a good idea as well, because we already have 7 staff members working on programming on a full-time basis. So to throw more things at them kind of got to be a lot. But overall, I think the comments were useful and helpful and accurate.
What about the comment, instead of doing all 4 groups, you only switch one time, so there's 2 groups?
Yeah, I think what we might do and I think the managers, we've talked about this a little bit too, is maybe keep everybody in the same group and move through, the goals instead of switching everybody up every time. I did really like that, people from CERT got to work with the public service staff that they might not normally get to work with, or that they don't know very well. And those teams, I liked the dynamic of that, but I think it also got really confusing. So the teams, there still will be teams made up of administration and public services and circulation staff, but they might just stay together through the process this way.
How often do they change?
They've changed every 6 months, I think it was, last time. So, yeah, and so it was they went to a different topic and then all different people each time. So that seemed to get a bit to be a bit much. So they had to switch gears and go from thinking about programming to thinking about, operational excellence and switching gears and then switching people. I'm busy. So, no one overwhelm them.
Okay, we'll take some comments or questions from the board. Kay, did you have any? Keely? Jan?
Of course. How important are spelling errors in
Yeah.
this case? I can get with you after.
Not important, because
Okay.
these are staff comments and board
Okay.
comments, these are
Then we
not
can
my
let it go.
comments, so
Let it go.
we get the gist. That's all
That's
it's
fine.
about.
Do you have anything besides spelling?
Only that it was exhausting to read this because there was so much done, and I agree with everything you said, that switch them less and give them 2 goals instead of 6, and oh my goodness.
Mhm. We didn't set a number of goals for each team, they were allowed to come up with those on their own, but just some just came up with more than others.
I'm amazed there was no burnout, or was there?
I think by the end there was. I think there was by the end.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Jason?
I don't have anything to add.
John?
The only thing I would add is I understand that they want to limit, how many ideas that they work on, but let's just make sure we don't lose the rest of them.
Yeah.
Pass them on to the next team or whatever,
Mhm.
so they don't get lost.
And we did that this time as well. They had like a brainstorming session and they came up with kind of a list. And then we had them focus on, the top 3 or 4 or whatever. So maybe this time we could have them focus on the top 2. And then that list did get passed along down to the next team.
So, but at the end, everything in the library was perfect, so there was no other ideas that
Yeah.
they could come up with.
Well,
We don't have to do our new strategic plan.
No, that's what I was thinking, why have another one?
and somebody did suggest that on here.
No
Just
strategic
not
plan.
do it again and then just have groups meet every once in a while and go over ideas, which is maybe I could do, but strategic plans are always
Yeah,
kind of.
that's all I have.
I had a few comments. I was concerned or disturbed or something about some of the negative comments that were made. Things about, heard a lot of complaints. This one really disturbed me. I can't think of anything that came from the groups that is helping with staff morale and engagement. I'm unsure how much patrons noticed actual change. I don't think we should have a plan. I mean, I guess from your standpoint as manager, are these things that you are hearing on a day-to-day basis, or did it just come out in a survey? Did it come out in reviews that you did?
As far as the burnout and that kind of thing, I had heard that before, and the complexity of the plan, I had heard that before. I'm not sure about, the other stuff, that's the first I heard of it, but this is the first time I heard that somebody thought we shouldn't have a plan. But
Well, and a lot of complaints, it makes me wonder, is this just someone over exaggerating, or were there a lot of complaints?
complaints from staff,
I don't know.
Could one person have written
oh,
3 or 4 of these
possibly.
issues?
Yeah,
You know?
very possible, but, it's anonymous, so I
Yeah.
don't know for sure.
I just wondered if there was some kind of overall feeling,
I think overall, I thought staff were pretty happy with it. I think that they liked that they had an idea and they were able to see it come to fruition most of the time. And I think that kind of fueled them to come up with more ideas. I think overall, in all of the strategic plans I have done, I would say this one was way more positive than the other. It had its faults, they all do. There is no perfect plan. But
No.
I think a lot of the negative stuff that was mentioned in here about burnout and complexity and stuff, I would completely agree with.
okay.
The one comment that you read that, where they said they couldn't think of anything that came from this, the plan to help staff morale. The way I read that, because I read that a couple of times, the way I read that is they were looking for something that, an actual plan to put something in place for staff morale, rather than this process itself helping morale.
Okay, well, either way.
I like the
But-
comment, no animal names.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
Okay, any other comments, questions, concerns?
We know we have a great staff, and if at the end of the day, they were exhausted and said a few negative things, I say, let them.
They have every
No, I
right.
just want to
Yeah.
make sure that they get addressed.
Right, yeah, I have them all starred.
Okay. All right, on to the draft community survey questions. These are the survey questions that will be put to the public in anticipation of putting a new strategic plan together.
Well, these are some suggestion ones.
Right.
I don't think we should have that many of them. I'd like to whittle it down, because people don't like to fill out
I like long surveys.
Yes. I particularly like the last 4 the best, the last 4 questions. And I would change number 6 to the top 3 things. I think that is kind of, but
3 can go for 3 years.
I think that the biggest thing I look at with these questions is what kind of information are we trying to get? And, what are some of the things you love about this community? Well, I think that's kind of really give us a lot of information. These questions came from, I sent out an email to the directors of the TLM listserv and asked them, what question did you ask on your survey that gave you the best data, the best information that you could use in your strategic plan? So these were some questions. And then I did have some staff that gave me some questions that they thought would be good.
How will these be distributed?
So, this will go on our website, we'll put it on Facebook, we'll do some community surveys. We have like the Kids Day in July, at the farmers market, probably do something else there. We also thought we would add it to, do a summer reading survey at the end of the summer reading. So we'll do, and people fill them out. We got more this year than we used to do electronically. People prefer the paper. And so they fill that out, and then on the back we'll have some of these community questions for them to go. Then they get a ticket to go in the prize thing.
There you go.
So,
Incentive.
yeah. But we want to make sure we're getting people that are not eating library too, and people that are, especially people that don't.
So if you had to pick what questions, what was, are you thinking about getting rid of them?
I would get rid of the first 4. But I'm interested to hear what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, what would you like?
See, I kind
I
of
don't
like 3
feel
or
like-
4. I'd like to hear what they think is what's not so good.
But not necessarily the community, what's good about it.
No, 3 and 4 are what's
Yeah,
the library's strengths and
Right.
weaknesses.
I think it is important to sort of narrow it, or, I don't know. People tend not to answer lengthy surveys.
On 7, I don't know if I would leave that off with if money were no issue. Let them think big. That doesn't mean we're gonna do it, but let them think big.
Well, that's what this is saying.
That's true.
Yeah, think big, think big. Is there any way to put this in a form where it's 1 through 5 or anything? It really isn't, where they can check it off.
Yeah, and that doesn't give you anything.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we want open-ended questions.
Well, if there's a prize at the end, maybe those one.
I don't know if I love 3 or 4, but if we don't do something like that, I mean, I think we need to ask about the past as well as the future. And that's kind of what this is asking about. Or the current, I guess you would say.
Well, there's 6 and 7.
We want to know what they like about it already before we go in to do new things, because we don't want to start getting rid of things that they really like. I mean, I don't know what might come under that or what weakness might, I don't know.
Does use reflect what people like? Like, you know, if you offer a service and people don't show up to it, then you would discontinue it. But if people show up or utilize whatever it is, then wouldn't think that it would be likely to get removed.
Well, sometimes when we're looking at the budget, we have to make, dollar decisions too. And if we hear from the survey that, well, this is something that everybody really, really likes, then we keep it. It helps us in those kind of decisions too.
Could we combine 6 and 7?
Probably. I like number 8. I mean, that's kind of a yes or no, but
Yes.
I think, so I can tell you, number 3, everybody's gonna write Miss Fran.
Everyone's going, what?
They're gonna write Miss Fran, that's what they did on the last one.
You have to figure out how to make Miss Fran live forever.
Yes.
Well, money's no object.
But I think answering number 4 is gonna come out in 6, 7. Whoa. In 6 combined with 7. So if they think there is a weakness, they're gonna recommend those things in that question, I think. They're gonna say what we need to be focusing on, don't you think?
I do, but I'd like to still know, and maybe we change it to number 2, say, what are some things you love about the library instead of this community? I just want to get an overall feel on where they are now before we start asking them for new things. Which then I think we could get rid of 3 and 4, 3 and 4.
asking the top three things you'd like to see implemented or focus on would imply that it's a perceived weakness
Right.
by that respondent. And like you said, Cheryl, the current strength is probably more important between those two from, budgeting standpoint, things not to mix. If we're gonna keep one of the two, three or four.
I agree with you, I think that covers it.
The top 5 could be things that we aren't doing at all. Could be new things.
Sure.
Like you said,
If
the
they,
guy asked about what.
if
what
they're
we're doing
asking for
manually.
something, that means we don't have it, it's something they want, so that's our weakness.
Yeah, but what if we're doing something that they don't like how we're doing it?
So,
Then they could say, the library needs to focus on balancing their finances. And that, I would say, well, that, there's one of that weakness.
or they might say, and I'm not saying this is anything, but they might say focus on customer service, or, I don't know. I know it's hard, because you'd like to ask a whole bunch of questions, but we do have to keep it short and simple.
And the news people.
Otherwise, we're not gonna get anything, and especially if we're doing any of this in person,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be pretty short.
Mm-hmm.
Short, like, I wouldn't even have top 5 things, maybe top 3 things, I don't know. It's just too much.
Mhm.
What if you said top 3 new things?
I don't think but if we say new things, then we're losing what they think we need to work on that we're doing now.
Okay.
That might not be so great. I don't know what that.
Or you could just take the number out altogether and just say what are the top things you'd like to see the library focus on.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
idea.
And let them list as many as they want.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Take out numbers altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So we like number 6, we like number 7,
Or
Number-
or a combined 6, 7.
I think I can combine those.
okay. I think they should be separate, because you're really asking 2 different things.
Yeah, I don't see combining them, but,
I keep saying make it shorter, but based on my past history with surveys, yes, no ones are usually avoided. I'm talking about Cheryl's question on that you want, on whether or not we would benefit from a library bookmobile. I mean, just yes or no, you could think about the, where you get like 3 or 5 responses, you think, you think it would be
Mm-hmm.
strong. I'd have to work on it, but,
Mhm.
yes, no, maybe a lot of people would say no. So, greatly benefit, somewhat benefit, not benefit, or whatever. I mean,
We could follow that with please explain. So they don't just say yes or no, they explain why. Like, feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does that give you enough to work on it?
I think so. Mm-hmm.
And when would this start being used?
Well, I was gonna bring it back to the board for approval next month, and then we'll start using it probably, June, beginning of June. We'll put it out on Facebook and the website, and then we have our event in July, and probably line up some other places to
Okay,
do something.
all right, so it'll come back in May.
what is the event in July?
And it's Kids' Day at the Farmers Market.
Oh, okay. We don't want to have it out on August 7th necessarily.
I think we were gonna do the surveys June and July. and
Oh, okay.
Put the data
now we are on to staff reports. Anything in particular that you wanted to highlight on the staff reports one?
I've been talking all night.
I'm just giving, you don't have to, I'm just asking.
No, I didn't have anything in particular.
Okay.
It just always impressed me.
Okay, John, please go.
Well, as always, thank the staff for taking the time to put this together. My favorite part of the packet. I did want to thank Anya for informing me, entertaining me, relating us all once more, as she put it. What is OSTC?
That is the Oakland Service Technology School campus. It's right off of the highway up here. And basically, students split their time between their high school and this school to practice automotive technology, graphic design, cooking, as well as hosting and agriculture.
Wow. And that's Clarkson.
Well,
There's
that's
multiple campuses, that's just the Clarkson one that we visited.
Okay.
It's been there for decades and decades, but I see they changed the name.
It's an amazing school.
It is.
It's huge and beautiful inside, and there's so many, we didn't even see it all. It was just a quick little
Oh,
tour.
but it's been there since the 70s,
And
but
yeah.
they changed the name. I didn't know what it was either.
Just as Oakland Schools
Oakland School,
Technology
yeah.
Center.
Oh, yeah, we called it Voc Tech.
Yeah.
That's what we called it. Good.
I was very interested in the family search program. It's up and running? Or close?
We're hitting a little bit of a snag. Our IP address, for some reason, it's allowing staff computers to open images, but not the public computers to open images. So Mike is here tomorrow, our IT guy is here tomorrow to take a look at it, see if we can get that figured out.
Okay.
But we were able to access some documents that people were not able to access on their own. So that affiliation is going to be valuable for genealogy.
And I like the way Lori worded her summary of the WWE event.
Yeah.
And she was lucky to have one of those wrestling fans join her. And that's it.
Hey, Jason?
I enjoyed reading all of the great things going on. It was good to see that staff is redistributing and pitching in where help is needed with the upcoming maternity leaves, ongoing leaves. I did have a question about the T-Mobile Hometown Grant for the second study room. I was curious how much that's going to be for if awarded.
I can't remember, it's 10,000 for the room itself, actually, I think it was 12,000 for the room itself. And then the window tinting was 1,200 and the blinds were 1,200, so, 14,000-ish, something like that. We haven't heard that. And I don't know if you guys know, all of our are officially on maternity leave.
Yeah, I saw the baby.
Okay, Jan?
Gosh, I hope you can find more money for tutoring in the fall, at least. That is such a good and important program, and I know, I even have a niece that has used it, and they'll be crushed if it's not there, so if there's any more money you can find for tutoring, that would be great. And I don't drink pop, but I'm definitely getting some out of that antique truck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, my gosh, I want some pop. My overall question, I guess I could ask some of the staff, are you okay with writing all this? This is so much. It's okay, would it be easier to just bullet point a few things, or are you okay to do all this?
That's what these are for.
I know they're bullet points, but there's still a lot of
Extensive bullet points.
extensive, yes.
Personally, I know a couple of staff members that throughout the month, they will continuously add to this document as things happen, so it's not.
It's not a one sit down. Okay, good.
I mean, for some people, it can be, but for someone like me, I forget what I had for dinner. So, as soon as I do it, I need to report on it, so, no.
Well, I just, as I read through this, and I enjoy reading through it, I just hope it's not a huge task, like a term paper you feel you're writing here. Okay.
I feel like we can be very open when we do our staff reports to the board, so.
And I think it's really important that day, because in this field, we're always looking forward at what do we do next, what do we do next, and I think it's really important for them to stop and look back and say, oh my gosh, look at what I accomplished last month. So
It's good for us to see too, oh my gosh, everything accomplished. Okay. That's, no.
Keely?
Yeah, just excited about the programs coming up. Jedi training seems very cool. I'm a little upset that I'm not in that age group.
Me too.
Yeah, the nonfiction cataloging system information. Also, I looked what that was. What is that? Is very interesting. So that will be cool to see if that happens.
Since you looked it up, can you tell us more?
the
That's
Yeah,
in
so
the
it's
metas?
not
The
the
metas.
metas. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a way to categorize, at least from what I did in my very quick, I'm not a librarian. But organizing nonfiction instead of by like Dewey Decimal, sort of like, oh, I want to look up animals, or like I want to look up space, right? And so it would be sort of categorized like in the space section or in the animal section,
Okay.
and then it would be either by like author or like by subject matter, and like so it's sort of categorized that way, a little bit more naturally for how kids will look something up. Like they're not going to go to 930.12 to look up what they need.
Right.
They're going to go, where's space? Oh, that starts with an S. I'm going to go to space, or you know.
Okay,
Yeah, which seems really, really cool.
much more intuitive.
Yeah. And then also very excited for the STEM kits. I am so much more excited for those, I think, than my daughter is. But that's okay. Yeah. And I also want to read Everything is Tuberculosis.
You should. It was really good.
I'm
Actually, very controversial book.
yeah, clearly. But yeah, I did. I highlighted that. I was like, I'm gonna look into that one.
Kate?
Similar, as Fran brought up, when I was reading this again last night, I thought, this is really extensive, the reports, but I love them. I think it was the best part. But I do worry, is it too much? When I was in a work environment, we had like a semi-annual and an end of the year report or something like that, and they were about that size. So, but if they don't mind, they're great. I love the detail, and I'm always impressed by the scope of it. So, congratulations.
I am overwhelmed whenever I read these too. I have to sit down and spend, at least a good hour to get through them, but I love reading and I like to hear about everything that's going on. One of the cool things was when they were talking about getting a list of things to be purchased for the teen space and actually asking the kids, what is it that they want? I think that's really important. See what else. I also had marked that metas things. I wanted more information on that. And family serves, that sounds good. And the STEM kits. How many do we have now and how often are they used?
I'm not sure they're getting to them. She keeps adding more and more to.
So we have about 15 to 20 items out right now that are in circulation that can be checked out. The thing is, not only are they circulated, they're used in-house. So we don't have exact numbers because people can take them off the shelf and look through them as long as they're in, the used area. We just ask that they're brought back to the desk so that we can make sure everything's in there before putting them back on. So we don't have exact numbers
are they all the same or are they all different?
Oh, all different. So you have anything from like textile to, building to, science.
Okay.
So, and they go even deeper into that. Lori did, I share an office with her, so I know, hours of research. If you know Lori, she is very particular. So, and then my office is, you guys can go back in there and check if you really want to, field trip, stacked with boxes for more STEM kits and we prepped and put together. So, very fun to see her, working on it and completing the STEM kits.
And they were all grant funded.
Yeah, very exciting. That's all in particular that I have, but again, overwhelmed, excited. I loved it, and you need more volunteers for the Scholastic Book Fair, as well as scooping ice cream. So if any of the board members would like to volunteer for the bookstore, please let Laura
I
know.
think I'm gonna scoop ice cream.
Okay. On to the statistics. Anything to highlight? This last thing I'm gonna ask you to talk about.
Just a couple of things. Our wireless connections is huge. That continues to grow. That number just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And our wireless prints continue to grow, 127. So I've been keeping an eye on that because it's not cheap. So it's definitely worth its money. Blackstone Unlimited users down, there's only 4. That number has not grown. I think last year we averaged 5. So our renewal came up this year and we decided not to renew that product. So that will go away. That's all I thought I'd point out.
Okay, any questions, comments? Okay. Moving on. Public comment. Do you have any comments to share with the board? No? Okay. Nothing is on hold. Oh, and the calendar review for May, we have nothing that's typically scheduled for May. But then if you go down to number 18, items for the next agenda, I've got 3 listed. The audit, the survey questions, and the collection policy. Is there anything else?
Say it again after audit and survey questions.
Audit, survey questions, and the collection policy.
That's a lot. And we will have our auditor join us in May.
Yeah, I assume, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to pay us gas for
No.
down here.
They join us by Zoom
Mm-hmm.
and give us a little presentation
We
on
just talked
their audit.
TV.
Okay, if there's nothing else to come before the board,